Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the 13th installment into the franchise whose name you cannot spell without two S's. And after last year's disappointment that was Unity, is it as like the title would suggest? Or like 2S? 2 times S? Fuck. Starting off with the things I like, the setting. Assassin's Creed Syndicate takes place in Victorian London during the Industrial Revolution, making it the most up-to-date Assassin's Creed game yet. And I've got to say, Ubisoft nailed the atmosphere and look of said setting. Everything just feels so alive. There are people all around the city saying really British things like chap, mate, cheers, vag. No wait, not that one. You can free children from forced labor, partake in races and fights in fight clubs, and kill Templars. Wait a minute. It is perhaps my most favorite setting of an AC game to date, and it might just be me, but I think Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Unity for that matter are quite overlooked games when it comes to looks and aesthetics. With games like The Witcher 3 and Batman Arkham Knight, whose graphics, yes, they look good and are being boasted as some of the best in the business, I never see Assassin's Creed, Unity or Syndicate mentioned at all alongside these games, and it's quite sad, considering that this and Unity might be some of the best looking games out there, easily capable of holding their own against said graphical powerhouses. The twin siblings, Jacob and Evie Fry, are also a strong point of this game, with their banter and rivalry feeling quite authentic and organic coming from someone who has a younger sister. The story for the most part is also quite enjoyable, with references to historical figures such as Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens and Alexander Graham Bell. And if you don't know who those people are, go Google it or something, I don't care. I'd also like to point out that the sound design in this game is fantastic. Pop on some high quality headphones and shit. Everything from the footsteps to the environment sounds are high quality and really immersive, and the voice acting is also really stellar and nice, with a couple of moments where I laughed out loud and that were legitimately funny. If there's one thing that last year's Unity was criticized of, then that was the atrocious frame rate it ran at, and since Syndicate lacks some of the detail from Unity, you'd expect it to run better. So how does it run? It runs better than Unity, although that's not a massive accomplishment since Unity's framerate was slower than Sony's apparent bankruptcy. But despite that, there were quite noticeable framerate drops throughout the game, especially while driving a horse carriage. Oh yeah, it has rideable horse carriages, but that's also quite meh. Alright, we're starting to dip into the bad stuff. The gameplay, aside from the aforementioned horse carriages, is just more of the same from last year's Unity. I mean, yeah, there's a new fancy rope launcher, and admittedly, it does help scale the buildings in no time, but it's not exactly an improvement to the gameplay. And while I do massively prefer the updated combat system compared to the old ones, the core gameplay is just the same thing. And the age-old problem of inconsistency within the free running is still present. And that's something Ubisoft just needs to change and go back to the drawing board with in order to improve itself and evolve. And just please give us that Japanese setting already. It would be so cool. And in 2015, where we have games like The Witcher 3 and Batman Arkham Knight massively improving upon the open world fantasy sandbox style gameplay, that was a fucking mouthful, which Assassin's Creed ironically made so popular, Syndicate is just stuck in the past. The AI in this game is also terrible. I mean, you can just run away from them for about 30 seconds, hide behind a wall and they'll just look around for about 5 seconds and then move on with their day. I mean, come on Ubisoft, for a game that's main selling point is stealth and infiltration, good AI is essential. And with games like Metal Gear Solid 5 proving that you can have advanced AI humans that can behave like, you know, actual fucking humans, it's disappointing to see one of the flagship stealth games having terrible execution in something so important. And while it doesn't have as many bugs as Unity, I did notice some seriously unimpressive, but at times hilarious, bugs and glitches. None of which were game-breaking, but they do take away from the experience quite a bit. Things like NPCs being in weird places and even character models entirely missing during cutscenes. Again, nothing game-breaking, but not exactly good either. One other thing I've seen reviewers complain about is the final boss fight and the ending being bad. And you know what? It is. Absolutely horrible. It severely breaks the flow of the narrative and it derails it completely into a new bad direction. It's absolute trash. With perhaps the most interesting characters of the franchise, a decent story and some minor gameplay improvements on the surface, the latest entry into Ubisoft's flagship franchise looks like a welcome and refreshing change to the series, but look beneath that and its flaws become apparent. Assassin's Creed Syndicate gets a 6.5 out of 10. It's slightly above average.
Grown folk don't blow smoke. When you living with them boys, those stones like oh no. Pitch pebbles when my